Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk more about that SPAC sputtering out. We're going to talk about digital media publishers and how they are in a do or die situation.
You don't say.
You don't say.
What, because Variety says it now, it's true?
Because Variety says it's true, it's true. Yeah, we've been talking about this for, what, 2 years now?
I can't. Okay.
I think owning multiple websites and kind of looking at the whole situation with the advertising and numbers and the algorithm changes and scratching our heads and wondering how companies like Buzzfeed and Vox could actually stay in business. And the only reason we could find is that they had a bunch of venture capital. And it turned out that that was the case. And then they wanted to double, triple dip and go for more with this SPAC thing. And Buzzfeed tried it. And yeah, they wanted $288 million, or they thought they were going to get $288 million. They got 16. The stock, the Buzzfeed stock, is falling off a cliff. And people are blaming Buzzfeed for the SPAC boom. A lot of other digital media publishers were going to chase that SPAC, and Buzzfeed kind of ruined it for them. And now we've got Vox and some other groups that are going to merge together to try to save themselves, and it's not going to go well.
No.
For them. I don't think it's going to go well for them. I think we are at the end of the line here, and I think it has been a long time coming. For sure, we're going to see a lot of salt from journalists. I'm going to warn you guys. This is our prediction for 2022. Is we are going to see journalists write the most ridiculous bullshit to try to get clicks because they're desperately going to try to cling on to their jobs.
And we'll be right there to cover it.
We'll be right there to cover it. So, thank you in advance for helping us. But anyway, yeah, we're going to see this because I remember when there were a wave of layoffs last year because the ad revenue started to dry up.
They didn't have to go. They couldn't go Trump all the time.
No, yeah, that was a big factor, and the ad revenue started to dry up, and a lot of journalists lost their jobs. They got laid off. They were very angry, taking to Twitter, very angry with YouTubers who were actually blowing up at that point in time.
Mostly for calling out their shit.
Yeah, and they didn't think it was fair. Well, I went to school for journalism. I did this and I did that. And
well, you used to be an editor.
I was an editor.
You used to hire these people.
I did used to hire these people and fire them.
You know what I'm saying?
And I was pretty cold too.
Remember the one lady, her mom called you?
Her mom called me because she was very upset. Yes, but I gave her repeated chances and she kept dropping the ball. And I had a paper to run, and I'm like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, trust me. We give people lots of chances. If someone's gone, there's a reason.
Yeah, and usually it's just like willful, like I am not going to correct this at all. And we see this attitude, especially with a lot of...
Or I think we're dumb. That happens a lot,
I think we're dumb. But we see this a lot with younger people especially. They're like, I am owed a job, and I am owed job security, and I am owed knowing everything that's going on in the company, and I am owed a voice at the boardroom table, even though I work at the mailroom, I mean... Anyway, we're going to see a lot of salt. That's where I'm going with this. And I had a friend send this over this morning, and is basically like, well, there it is, confirmed. Everything you guys have been talking about.
Yep.
Coming from Variety, digital media's do or die moment. As 2021 draws to a close, there have been some wild last-minute moves from recognizable names in digital media. Buzzfeed, they talk about Vox and Group 9 merging, the things we talked about. Two major announcements in the digital media space, but two distinctly very different exit strategies. Exit strategies to ultimately achieve similar goals. Basically, they want to jump ship with a bunch of money. That's what this was always about. It was never about creating a news outlet or news outlets that were going to stand the test of time. This is about getting in, getting venture capital, and riding it out for 5 to 8 years and then cashing out.
Right. But what a lot of these companies doing, they're not really meant to be long term. They're just trying to make a quick buck.
Watch the WeWork documentary. It is literally, that needs to go on our best of list. It's one of the...
Was that this year?
That was this year,
okay.
Yeah. WeWork is a prime example of how this works. It's all basically smoke and mirrors until people find out that it's not legit. But it's all about razzle-dazzling the venture capitalists, the investors, and it's not working anymore.
Side note, next paragraph, I want to point out something here again, and we've mentioned this many times before. these big companies own all kinds of different outlets, and sometimes the studios themselves own news outlets.
Speaking of which, go out to comicbook.com, and I point that out. Today we know that they're owned by CBS. We know that they're owned by Viacom, but now they're pimping Paramount Plus. Disclosure: we're owned by CBS, so if they talk favorably about Star Trek, you know why? Because they own it. Sign up for Paramount Plus here, please.
Oh, what was the one that was owned by DreamWorks that they always were white knighting for Noel Stevenson and She-Ra?
Sci-Fi.
Yeah, and it was like because they're owned by the same people.
Sci-Fi Wire or Sci-Fi Fangirls, the Fangirls blog got shut down.
There was another one besides that, but they were if you track it back, they're owned by the same people.
Yeah.
I had a master sheet once. I'm gonna have to do it again for 2021 that you can see where everybody's owned by the same people, and it's like when you track it back, why are these blogs like giving these great reviews for movies that suck? Well, because they're owned by the studios that made those movies.
Yeah.
So, but back to the other article.
So yeah, they talk about how BuzzFeed owns all of these sites now. BuzzFeed News, Huffington Post, which they gutted. They bought it and gutted it. And we're going to see this happen if this thing goes through, this Vox Media, Group 9. And we're going to see them probably acquire other blogs too. And eventually we're going to be down to about probably 20% of what there is now.
They have a list of what they have for the Vox Media Group. They also own Tasty, who makes terrible pie puzzles, and Complex Networks. Meanwhile, Vox Group 9, they combined will own New York Magazine, Now This, Thrillist, Eater, The Dodo, The Vox, and The Verge. And Now This and The Dodo are always on like Facebook and stuff, trying to push stuff and YouTube and things. So that's who they're going to own when they merge.
I thought that Vox owned Polygon too, so that's another.
Well, they said and others.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically what's going to happen is we're going to have like 2 or 3 companies out there that own all of these digital media websites, and there are going to be a lot of redundancies. Okay. Because you don't need 4 or 5 different video game websites. You just take them and roll them into one video game website. And I think they're going to crack the whip harder. Look at what happened when Gizmodo sold off to the guy that bought it. And he was basically like, stick to sports because we got to bring in ad revenue and you guys are actually scaring people away at the politics.
Well, there's been a lot of blogs that were doing pretty well that got shut down because they were redundancies, which we bring that up a lot. But
yeah,
it's true.
So we're going to have way fewer journos, I think, in a year or 2 from now. They're going to have to, and they hate this, they're going to have to pivot to video, or they're going to have to go work another job someplace else. And both of those options seem to terrify journos, judging by what I've seen on Twitter.
Well, well, especially the pivot to video. It's not that easy.
No, it's not. You needed to do it a couple of years ago. And it's really surprising. You have these journos that supposedly have big voices like the Mary Sue, and they don't have very many YouTube followers. And they put like Nerdist, they were putting all kinds of money into their YouTube shows. They had like a fancy studio and like a TV production level, thing going on there. And they're not bringing the views in. No. Because nobody wants to listen to them. And so
it doesn't matter how much money you put into it. If you don't have a voice people want to hear, it's not going to matter.
But the thing is, these websites, for the most part, are not sustainable. Like, they have to be propped up by a studio, or they have to be propped up by venture capital because they're not bringing enough in on their own. Because I guarantee you, what comicbook.com, it probably does bring in a decent chunk of change, given how big it is, but also they crank out a shit ton of content and they probably write it all off. They're probably like,
I was going to say it's probably right off.
Yeah, it's marketing expense. We're promoting Paramount Plus. So this is our loss leader right here.
That's probably why it's on the bottom there. Yeah, they can write it off.
Tax shelter. These websites are tax shelters for these studios,
and mouthpieces at the same time. It's a win-win. I mean, it's actually quite smart.
It is, and it's starting to end though. And I think that people have wisened up over the last couple of years, and they realize that the outrage bait was, just to get you to their website. The
journalists haven't wised up. They're going to probably double down on it.
It's like you got used, and you're gonna get tossed aside like a used tissue at this point.
That sounds gross.
I think that's what's going to happen. I didn't say what they're using it for.
I was thinking blowing your nose. What are you thinking?
Anyway, BuzzFeed, huge failure. It started at $10.95 a share. and it's like
I know what
$5
it is
now.
now.
It's like $5 a share. It's not good. It's not good. But yeah, so this is do or die. They're basically like BuzzFeed failed miserably, and because of that, everybody else is going to suffer for it. There are a lot of eyes on BuzzFeed going forward. It's still early in its journey as a public company. Other digital media companies such as Forbes, Vice, Bustle, BDG, and Vox 9 Group are looking to BuzzFeed's reception in the market before making their own exit moves. They keep bringing that up. Do you see this? Mm-hmm. These blogs are not going to exist in a few years. One way or another, most of them are going to go away. They're going to get absorbed into other websites, or they'll just, somebody will buy them up and they'll just shut them down because they never plan to stay in business.
No.
So we are going to see some really salty ass journalists.
More than normal?
More than normal. And I'm giving you guys a warning because I know you hate watch us. You need to keep your resume updated because you may find yourself unemployed in 6 months to a year. Just saying. There's your friendly reminder from Clownfish TV.
There you go.
Gonna wrap it up?
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.